Today on the Team Attack Show, we're going to talk about Legends of Runeterra, this all-new card game from League of Legends, which is supposed to change the game of digital card games. But will it? Is it enough? Let's find out on today's episode, starting right now. Now, League of Legends is one of the most powerful IPs in all of gaming. Whether you play MOBAs, I'm sure you've heard of it, whether you've played a main top-down strategy game or even something not related to League of Legends. It just has so much influence in today's gaming culture that it's kind of hard to ignore. And to that end, League of Legends has kind of been doing their own thing for the past 10 years. 10 years of League of Legends, they've had a big resurgence in esports. They kind of established the proper way to do it. Now everyone's following in League of Legends' footsteps, and we've got all these great esports. So they celebrated their 10-year anniversary recently, and they had a bunch of announcements. Fighting game, a shooting game, but one that caught my eye most particularly was a brand new card game, and this card game is called Legends of Runeterra. Now, on first glance, you might be thinking, oh man, this is just something to go against Hearthstone. Hearthstone was the first digital card game to really place its foothold in the market, but led the way for other card games, and League of Legends is probably thinking, people at Riot Games were thinking, we could do this. And the reason this gets me so excited is not that it's just because it's a digital card game. Mind you, I played a lot of Overwatch, not even on my PC, on my cell phone. Like, I'd play during work, I'd play going to the bathroom. Every waking moment where I just had idle time, 20 minutes, I'd sit down and I'd play. This is why mobile games are so popular. And yes, this game is going to come to mobile eventually. But one of the things that excites me most about this game is Riot has postured this game as an opportunity to kind of expand on League's lore. Now, if there are anybody who's played League of Legends, you know that the lore has gone through hell and high water, different iterations, things have been retconned. The original story that started League of Legends isn't really even a thing anymore. Instead, we've got these much better fleshed out factions like Demacia, Piltover, Zaun, and all that, Shurima. And the only thing that I didn't like about that was we didn't really see that represented in game as well as I think that it should have been. You'd see champions, you'd see short stories separate from the game, but you didn't really see that expressed in the game. Well, the great thing about this game is this is going to be probably one of the first times in which we'll see different aspects of Runeterra, which is the League of Legends universe. Expanding on those writings, expanding on the champions. You probably noticed watching the video already that some of the champion cards there, like Braum, Garen, you're going to be able to see the proper representations of places like the Freljord and places like Demacia. Champion cards are game-changing cards. They level up like you would play League of Legends by a certain action on the card. Another thing of this game that really interests me is that you can react to basically everything. Now, I'm going to compare this a lot to Hearthstone because that's like the biggest card game out right now for digital, for mobile. And nothing else has really come to take its place. Borrowing from Magic the Gathering, when you play a card, whether you're playing the digital version or playing the paper version, usually you're able to respond as long as you've got mana open. You can do something, you can counter a target creature spell. You can, stop a counter. You can stop a counter with another counter. You can stop things from happening and respond to things from happening, have spells fizzle, etc., etc. You don't have that type of interactivity in a game like Hearthstone where if you don't have the right board set up, then you could be taking a bazillion damage next turn. And, stuff like that can happen in this game as well. But it's nice to have spell cards that can, hit something from 1 to 3 damage or destroy all creatures or, just change the state of the board provided you have the mana in your pool to do something about it. You'll notice that you have attack and defense phases. You'll see what's being responded to in the middle. You can mouse over a lot of information and see what is going on in the board state. The board is very active. Like, you've got these poros in the top and bottom corners that you can click on and interact on, and they're so adorable. You can customize these poros. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that you'll be able to, if you pre-purchase a pack, you'll be able to dress up your poro and it'll look a little different. So we'll have to see what happens there. Taking another look at the board, it looks like something you find in Summoner's Rift. Like, it looks like a lane. You see the trees are the same assets probably from the regular League of Legends client. And it's just like you're expanding on this game of League of Legends, but you're dueling with cards. You're able to see all of these characters from the different factions. Like, you have Noxus, you've got Freljord, Tryndamere is part of Freljord. You've got these mechanics that you probably find from Magic the Gathering, like Overwhelm, which is Trample. There's stuff that prevents damage, like Barrier. There's all of these different card keywords and ways to interact with the cards. You're probably thinking, how am I going to put together a coherent deck? Like, where does the balance set in and all that stuff? Well, you'll be happy to know, or you might be disappointed to know, that you can only play with 2 factions together. So you're not able to mix Demacia, Freljord, and Noxus. And that includes champion cards and spell cards. So you're really going to have to sit down and look at, all right, if my card needs removal, Ionia is really good at denial and removal. But I'm thinking I want to go aggressive. Noxus is really aggressive. There's a lot of Overwhelm cards in there. You're not going to be able to have every aspect that you might want in a deck. Like, if you play Magic, you could have a 5-color deck, but then you're risking not getting all the mana that you want. There's a lot of color splashing. It's very hard for those pieces to come together. With this, you're relegated to 2 factions, so you have to choose what strategies you want to depend upon and just go ham on it. It's a 40-card deck. You can have 6 champions in a deck, and then any combination of spells or regular creatures. You'll see that the creatures from below are, they're related to Vladimir. There's a mechanic where if something is dealt damage and survives, it'll ping the enemy nexus for 2. There's just a lot of really cool mechanics that make it feel like a great card game. The one thing that I am not so happy about is how aggressive the game is. It seems that maybe after a couple minutes of playing, you'll find that people are putting creatures at every junction. Like, you'll notice that if you haven't been watching the background video, every time that somebody plays a creature, your enemy can also play a creature in response. So, before you know it, you're finding the board flooded up with creatures, and if you don't have the appropriate amount of creatures to block, you may find yourself literally overwhelmed by just creatures that you can't really do anything about. I'm not sure if they're going to change that up, but it's something that I hope that they slow down a little bit, because I feel like the game is too aggressive. Imagine it's the enemy's turn, right? And they're going to put down, like, a 6/6 creature. They can afford it, whatever. But at the same time, you could also play a creature in response. It could be a creature that's better than that one. It could be something that wipes the board. And it just becomes, things just get out of hand really, really, really quickly. And the games that I played, it was fine, but the more that I played, the more that I was watching people on stream, the more I realized, man, like, people are filling up boards really quickly and not being able to do anything about it. Mind you only have 20 health to go with. There are cards that will heal you, but if you don't act fast, you're in trouble. And just what's going on here, Anivia is a creature champion that can't block, but never dies. And I have to deal with getting hit for 2 damage to every single thing. It's just really annoying. But there are counters to decks. There are Exodia decks like Fiora. If Fiora survives 4 times without dying, takes damage and survives 4 times, you just win the game. But Fiora's drawback is that Fiora doesn't have that much health. Teemo infects your deck with mushrooms. It'll append mushrooms, poison mushrooms, to your card. So if you draw a card, it might have 3 mushrooms on it, and then you take 3 damage. And before you know it, you just have 40 mushrooms in your deck. There are so many different ways to really express yourself through your favorite champion. There are a bunch of champions. I saw Tryndamere, I saw Braum, I saw Fiora, I saw Vladimir, Anivia. The list goes on and on and on. Ezreal, Lucian and Senna, Thresh is in there. Karma's in there. And they're gonna keep adding more of these things. Before you know it, there's gonna be like 400 cards, but they're gonna cycle them out. There'll be normal cycles of what's current, what's standard. There might even be like a wild format where it doesn't matter what set the card was released in. You know, I'm concerned about balance, but these guys who are designing the game, they are apparently trading card game fiends. They've been playing trading card games since they were little, and the love and polish put into this game is just really cool. Watching it from a spectator perspective is also really cool. So I think there's a lot of potential for this game. It's not really coming out again until next month. There'll be another 5 days of beta testing, so we'll have to see what happens. And yeah, what do you think about the game? Let me know in the comments below. We'll definitely be covering this as it comes out, but I really appreciate you all for watching. We'll be back another time to talk about more Riot stuff, more gaming stuff, so I hope you're enjoying it. Make sure you follow me on Twitter, Akinola GG, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, and have a wonderful day.